Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine software development. A field we usually see is purely logical, analytical, driven by algorithms, cold, hard data. Now, what if I told you that one of the hottest, most cutting-edge concepts in coding right now isn't about those technical nuts and bolts at all, but about, well, vibe. And you might be thinking vibe, like the feeling of a room, energy.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about vibe coding. How does a term like that, so inherently human and subjective, something tied to feelings, atmospheres, how does that become an actual, like, operational blueprint in the world of code? It sounds almost contradictory, doesn't it?
It really does, and that's precisely where the innovation lies. This deep dive. Well, we aim to show how vibe coding is trying to overcome that rigid split between pure logic and, let's say, human sensitivity. It's about merging algorithmic efficiency with what we're calling perceptual intuition. Essentially, it's about deliberately describing and then building the qualitative interaction between digital systems and us, the human users.
Okay, so our mission today is basically to pull back the curtain, explore how and why this really subjective concept found its way into software development. We'll look at what it means for the digital experiences you have every single day and how it's shaping the future of how humans and machines interact. Our goal is to give you a shortcut, really, to understanding this fascinating blend of art and engineering and why it matters. So to really get this groundbreaking idea, we first need to maybe peel back the layers a bit, trace how a casual, almost slang term like vibe made this improbable leap into the very serious world of software engineering. It started, like you might guess, just in informal English, a short version of vibration. But then, fields like sociolinguistics, how language relates to society and semiotics, the study of signs and symbols, they started to refine it. They turned it into a concise way to talk about subjective perceptions, atmospheres, emotional resonances. Started informal, then bam, serious discussions.
And that transformation is absolutely key. From those informal, maybe artistic contexts, vibes started getting adopted progressively in fields like interactive design, generative art, and, crucially for us, experience-oriented software development. And here, vibe is no longer just a loose emotional metaphor. It becomes what we call an operational construct.
Operational construct, meaning?
Meaning it's something engineers can actually build towards and sort of measure, almost like a new kind of design blueprint. It's a way to transfer characteristics of analog, real-world perception, things like fluidity, harmony, being attuned to context, transfer those directly into the computational dimension.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. How does something so abstract, so inherently felt like a vibe, actually get translated into the cold, hard logic of zeros and ones? What does that even look like, on a code level?
Right, that's the core challenge. And that's where vibe coding directly takes on that traditional logic sensitivity divide in software. It's explicitly about merging algorithmic efficiency with perceptual intuition, building systems that don't just work efficiently, they also feel right.
Feel right.
Exactly. So, for example, instead of just optimizing purely for the fastest possible loading time, you might also factor in how smooth and, say, visually pleasing the loading animation is, because that contributes to the overall feel of efficiency, the perceived speed.
And you can really see this playing out, this evolution reflected in how vibe is spreading across computational fields.
Yeah.
It mirrors the broader shift in software design itself, moving towards more user-centered and, frankly, effective forms.
We demand more than just raw functionality now, don't we? We want to actually enjoy using our tech. Absolutely. And the emergence of UX design, user experience design, as its own kind of transdisciplinary field really spearheaded this shift. Terms like tone, mood, and indeed vibe weren't just casual descriptors anymore. They started popping up in the technical lexicon, genuinely redefining what quality criteria actually mean in digital products.
Right. So when we talk about an app having a good vibe today, it's not just does it work without crashing anymore.
Yeah.
It now includes things like color consistency, how responsive a button or a component feels when you touch it.
So feedback, yeah.
The musicality of interaction, how fluid and harmonious it feels when you tap or swipe, and even the system's ability to sort of respond in advance to your needs, almost anticipating your next move. Think about the apps you use every day. Some just feel better, right? More intuitive than others. That's the vibe they've intentionally designed.
Precisely. And in this context, vibe coding is put forward as a form of experiential coding. Implementation choices get guided by perceptual heuristics. Think of those as the mental shortcuts our brains use to judge things quickly.
Got it.
And recurring emotional patterns, how we predictably react to certain stimuli, certain designs. This often pulls insights directly from neuroscience and behavioral psychology. It's about tapping into how our brains actually process experiences and designing specifically for that.
This shift, it also has a theoretical grounding, doesn't it? In the evolution of user interfaces themselves, we've come a long way.
Oh, definitely.
From purely textual interfaces, typing commands,
Yeah.
then graphical ones. And now we're deep into voice, tactile, multimodal interfaces using multiple senses. This progression has just naturally broadened the language we need to describe the user experience. It's not just clicks and screens anymore.
And that's where vibe truly shines as a concept. It represents a kind of synthesis of all these different perceptual elements that contribute to an intuitive, almost immediate judgment on the quality of the interaction. The crucial point here, though, is that it cannot be quantified through purely technical parameters alone. You can't just measure a vibe with a benchmark test for speed or memory usage. It's more holistic.
And this is the fascinating part, it can be described, analyzed, and maybe even replicated using things like narrative models, visual archetypes, harmonic structures. It's almost like building a story or composing music with code, where the individual notes might be technical, sure, but the overall composition aims for a specific feeling.
Exactly. And this approach, it demands cross-training for designers and developers. It needs elements of computational aesthetics, the beauty and feel of digital things, functional semantics, or the meaning conveyed by functions, and even embodiment theory, how our physical selves influence perception. What's truly revolutionary here is the implicit recognition that software isn't just a tool anymore. It's an experience, one that deeply impacts us, not just our tasks, but how we feel while doing them.
Okay, given everything we've just sort of uncovered about what vibe means in code, how does this new approach sit with, or maybe even challenge, existing design methods? Like
Yeah.
emotional design or behavioral design? Are they all just different words for the same basic idea?
Not quite. There's overlap, for sure, but vibe coding has a specific focus. Its specificity lies in adopting coding strategies that actively favor perceptual consistency over, say, pure structural optimization.
Okay. Perceptual consistency over optimization.
Yes, and this is a pretty radical shift, isn't it? It means maybe for the first time, software developers might intentionally build something that isn't the absolute most performant or technically perfect solution
Right.
if an alternative feels more intuitive or harmonious to the user. So, for example, a visually more harmonious solution might be chosen over a technically faster one if that first option generates a more convincing vibe or fits the context of use better. It's a deliberate trade-off prioritizing the human experience.
That makes perfect sense when you put it like that. But I can imagine some traditional software engineers maybe raising an eyebrow right now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you convince them this subjective vibe is a measurable, valuable thing? So what does this all mean for how software is actually built and judged?
Well, it definitely requires a revision of traditional software evaluation, no doubt about it. We're talking about introducing qualitative metrics, things that include cognitive comfort, how easy it feels to think and process while using the app, experiential fluidity, that smooth flow, and the system's ability to genuinely generate engagement to make you want to use it.
So it's not just a side effect anymore.
Exactly. You're right, it's a significant shift in mindset. Vibe is no longer just a happy accident or an epiphenomenon of the interface. It becomes a core design indicator, something you intentionally build towards and measure, just like any other functional requirement. It's recognizing that the feel is the feature in many ways.
And it seems like modern low-code and no-code programming environments are actually, maybe unintentionally, helping this along, facilitating vibe coding quite a bit. They lower the barrier to entry for design, offer these visual interfaces where you can see and feel the experiential quality almost immediately. You're literally seeing the vibe as you build it.
That's spot on. In those kinds of environments, design becomes much more compositional, almost like a musical act. The ability to manipulate graphic elements directly, to iterate really quickly on different versions, access advanced visual libraries. It all provides fertile ground for what you could call the intuitive flow of code, or this vibrational expression. Vibe coding finds a really natural home there because the visual structure of the development environment itself encourages coherent patterns that are easily tunable to the end user's perception.
So ultimately, adopting this vibe coding way of thinking, it isn't just a technical change, is it? It feels much bigger, like a profound cultural change within software companies. It's moving beyond a purely engineering, purely functional view of software development.
Exactly right. It proposes a culture of, well, listening. of aesthetic iteration and what you might call perceptual responsibility. This means design choices are guided not just by raw performance metrics, but also by ethical and emotional considerations. The goal is enhancing digital empathy, building software that truly understands and responds to human needs beyond just the functional ones.
That sounds like a massive undertaking, though. Are we talking about entirely new job roles emerging here, or is it more about existing developers just getting a vastly expanded skill set?
It's probably a blend of both.
Yeah.
We'll likely see new specializations, roles, bridging design and programming more explicitly.
Yeah.
And it definitely means redefining training processes, developing new development environments that explicitly support expressing and evaluating these cognitive vibrations, these felt qualities.
Yeah.
So in that sense, vibe coding isn't just another technique. It really is a paradigm shift in how we understand the relationship between humans and machines. It's a fundamental rethinking of what software is and what it should ultimately accomplish.
So what's the bottom line here? What does this all mean for you, the person interacting with technology every day?
Well, it means that the vibe of your digital tools, that feeling you get, is moving from just being a metaphor to becoming a critical operational part of software development. It's influencing everything. How apps look, how they feel, how intuitively they respond to what you need. It's about a conscious effort now to design for our intuitive judgment and our emotional connection, not just our logical tasks.
And the implications are profound, really, for digital empathy, for the whole evolving relationship between humans and machines. The future of software seems deeply intertwined with how it makes us feel, how harmonious, how intuitive, how engaging those digital experiences truly are. So maybe next time you interact with an app or a website, just pause for a second. Consider its vibe. How intentional does it feel? Does it just work? Or does it somehow resonate with you? And maybe think about this. If software can be designed to connect with our deepest perceptual intuitions, what new possibilities does that open up for truly harmonious human-machine interaction going way beyond just getting things done?